Medicine is located at Fifth Avenue Monument at 3rd Street, right across the street from the Museum of the City of New York. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about us. We were founded in 1847. We've had a library since the beginning. At our second meeting on January 13th, 1847, we started collecting materials, and we've been open to the public since 1878. We are the only medical library that is open to anybody who wants to use the collections. We have over 550,000 volumes, about 32,000 of them are rare books, about 475,000 pamphlets, and then we've got lots of other kinds of ephemera, stamps, posters, plates, menus, all the kinds of things that people have been talking about, advertisements, trade cards, postcards, lots of things. And what I'm going to do is just talk to you a little bit about a few of those collections, although I'm not going to be able to cover everything that we have. We'll start, because we're at the stamp show, with stamps. We have 3 stamp collections. The first one is the Abram Joseph Abelard collection, which is a set of binders. So Abelard was interested in cancer, he was interested in malaria, he was interested in blood and leprosy. So here are, this is one of the pages from his album that shows the first day cover of the stamp for the honoring Marie Curie. And then there are 2 stamps, pages from the album that honor George Papanicolaou, who was, of course, the person who created the PAP test for diagnosing cervical cancer. Abelard was very fond of annotating his album pages so that you would get all of the information about the figures who were depicted. He also put together a whole album based on the World Health Organization's campaign against malaria, and so these are 3 pages from that album with stamps from different locations. Another stamp collector was Peter Denker. He collected stamps about important people, so these are pages from one of his albums that show stamps that honor prominent figures in medicine. And then here's another page, so these are, so you can't see them very well, but these are stamps for different campaigns. And then a whole set of stamps that were from the 1963 campaign against hunger. So stamps from all over the world that he collected that were all focused on the eradication of hunger. And the last stamp collection we have is the Norman Simon collection. Norman Simon was a radiologist at Mount Sinai, very interested in atomic energy and in radiology. Most of his collection is actually framed for display, but he did like sheets of stamps. So here we have a couple of pages that show atomic energy for peace. And then a page on wildlife conservation, why he was interested in that, we haven't been able to determine. So lots of pamphlets. As I mentioned, we have over 475,000 pamphlets in many collections. Most of our pamphlets, unfortunately, are not available through our online public access catalog, although they are available, the majority of them, through our printed catalog still. But what I've chosen to concentrate on are pamphlets from our health pamphlet collection, many of which you can get access to by using our OPAC. So they cover lots of different topics. Here are a couple that deal with travel and tourism. Medical tourism is a very popular subject for our pamphlet collection. So we have 2 different pamphlets that are from Hot Springs, one in Arkansas and the other one in Montana. Lots of public education pamphlets. So these were produced by the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company. So here's one about heart disease. So advocating for better care and for healthy living. One that's an educational pamphlet about smallpox, warning that smallpox was a suspect from the 1920s. Smallpox is still here, hasn't been eradicated yet. A citizenship pamphlet, so an early citizenship pamphlet, a book so that new immigrants could plan for visiting the offices so that they could get their first papers on the road to citizenship. Here's a pamphlet on feeding your baby. There are a lot of advice pamphlets. So advice to mothers, advice to lots of other people about how to stay healthy. And so here's one on longevity, and then a kind of a generalized health campaign as well. Lots of promotional pamphlets for different kinds of products. So the Startup was an outdoor sleeping porch that you could build and put onto your house. And so the idea was that it was healthy to sleep outside, especially when tuberculosis was really a health challenge. And then we have, here this is the Standard Manufacturing Company on the evolution of bathroom fixtures. So all kinds of images of what a modern bathroom should look like, what old bathrooms look like, and fixtures, so advertisements for fixtures. So lots also that's promotional for children. Here's one of my favorites, the Child Health Alphabet, which is an abecedarium, of course, every letter of the alphabet. Has a different little rhyme and illustration for a way to live your life in a healthy way. And these same kinds of pamphlets were also produced as promotionals for all different kinds of food products. So here we have a little gingerbread man story book that was produced by the Royal Baking Powder Company. And then Planters produced this little Peanut Pal story. So there's Mr. Peanut with his little tiny peanut pal, and they go on a whole series of adventures. We have many other cookery-related pamphlets. These are mostly part of our Margaret Barclay Wilson collection, although they are scattered in other collections as well. So here we have a couple of promotional pamphlets for different products. Baby's coconut, junket, Welch's grape juice, and of course we can learn all kinds of things from these pamphlets about trends in cookery. You can see new products being introduced to the American marketplace. We see changes in the way in which these kinds of pamphlets are produced. So they tell us a lot about advertising history, business history, our menus. Like everybody else, we have a collection of menus. So those in our collection come almost all of them from the Margaret Barclay Wilson collection. Margaret Barclay Wilson was on the faculty at Hunter College. She was a nutritionist and was one of the founders of the home economics department there. She collected all kinds of cookery materials. About half of what she collected was actual cookbooks, and the rest of it was ephemeral materials, so menus and advertisements and pamphlets and all kinds of other related cookery materials. So here we have Jack Dempsey's restaurant and then a couple of other restaurant menus from her collection. We too collect posters, so here are a couple of our AIDS posters. We don't continue now to collect posters in the way that we did before, but we were at the beginning collecting AIDS posters pretty broadly. Most of the posters in our collection are more kind of public health education posters that were produced by organizations. So here are some that were from the National Tuberculosis Association that were meant to be put up in public places. We have subway posters. We've got posters that were produced to educate people about venereal disease, about other health issues. And postcards, one of our newest collections is a collection that we got several months ago, the Robert Max Postcard Collection. And we are in the process right now of describing this collection. One of the great things about it is that it contains New York City institutions, New York State institutions, also some hospitals from around the country. But it's not only kinds of big institutions or hospitals that you might expect to see on postcards, but lots of little private sanitaria. And there are both outdoor scenes and indoor scenes. Some of them show patients. Some of them show the staff. So in the lower right-hand corner where you can see an operating room scene with a patient on a gurney surrounded by the staff. Of course, we would never take those kinds of pictures and sell them as postcards now. Some of them commemorating important events in New York City history. So on the bottom left there, you can see that that's it's Lincoln Hospital, which is where all the injured people were taken after the General Slocum, the ship sank. So they were all taken to Lincoln Hospital. And of course, many of them are blank on the back side, but some of them are, in fact, postcards that were sent to people, and sometimes you can see the messages. This collection is, as I said, still in the process of being described, and we will be hopefully putting up a finding aid to all of the postcards as soon as we reach the point where everything is described. And then we're hoping at some point to be able to digitize them and get them up on our website. We have actually a really wonderful small collection of book plates. And they came from two different sources. There was a librarian at the New York Academy of Medicine named Frank Place, who worked during the first half of this 20th century. And he was a book plate collector himself. He sent book plates from the Academy around to other institutions and asked them to send book plates back to him. He also sent requests to many individuals asking for their book plates. He was particularly fond of book plates that belonged to physicians. So you can see, of course, physician book plates tend to have imagery that is very much connected to the authors of the books, or they quote from important people in the history of medicine. So the Library for the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Western Ontario has a quotation from Sir William Osler. So it talks about how to study medicine without books. It just doesn't make any sense. Down in the lower right-hand corner is a book plate from Henry Falluz de Forest, and our other book plate collection was a gift collection that was given to him. De Forest was very fond of book plates himself, and he had several made for himself over the course of his lifetime. This one, which is one of my favorites, was one that he sent around and gave to people so that they could put into their own books. And it's an admonishing book plate, so telling people who borrow books that they should take good care of them, that they should treat them well, they should make sure to give them back, or they'll be labeled as biblioclasts or bibliosnitches. So he's very annoyed when people return his books damaged or fail to return them at all. We do have some digital collections of our ephemera, and this is the front page to the entry point for getting into those collections. So when you go to our library page and you go to the collections page, you would find this. So you can see we've got a collection of milk ephemera. We actually have some streaming media, which has about 40 hours of radio broadcasts that the Academy sponsored in the 1940s and 50s and 60s, lectures for the laity and also for doctors only. And then we've got some of our other collections. So one of our collections that people use the most is our collection of trade cards, which were donated to us by William Helfand. Mr. Helfand is a pharmaceutical executive and is a major ephemera collector, has given materials to many different institutions. But we have a Helfand collection of pharmaceutical trade cards that we digitized and put up on our website. And so when you go inside of that collection, you see thumbnail images of all the trade cards with all of the metadata that goes along with them. And you can then enlarge the images, you can look at the rectos and reversos, you can show them side by side, and manipulate them. We will be moving out of the portal. These are displayed in within the next few months so that they should be easier to access and easier to see. One of our other very popular ephemera collections is one that we call the Resurrectionists, and it is a group of materials that were assembled after the body snatchers William Burke and William Hare were caught. They were 19th century body snatchers in Edinburgh. They murdered their victims and then sold their bodies to Robert Knox, who was an anatomist in Edinburgh. Eventually, when they were caught, Hare turned state's witness against Burke. Burke was executed in public and his body was dissected in public afterwards. Muffins, but we have a volume that was assembled. It has ballads, it has the trial account, it has lots and lots of images, it has poems, and all of these things were put together, bound, we disbound them, and created a collection of all of those materials that you can use through our website. So we also have, again, like many other places, lots of tickets and other sorts of materials that are connected to medical education, mostly here in the city of New York. So you can see education for medical students change dramatically over the course of the 19th century into the early 20th century. In the kind of early and mid-19th century, to get access to lectures or to hospital clinics, students paid and then just got these tickets that admitted them to the lectures or to the hospitals. They are a wonderful reflection of the ways in which these different institutions thought of themselves, lots of different printing styles, and then they tell us a lot about, what kinds of classes people were taking, and these are connected to lots of other materials in our collection about medical education, including circulars and announcements and valedictory addresses, medical student notebooks. So they're just one piece of that. We have a collection of what are called lucky safety cards. These were little cards that ended up in 1953 being distributed through the newspapers. They were a collaboration between the Hearst Corporation and King Syndicates. There were 48 of them. Every one of them features a comic book character that would have been well known to people. They also, you can see they all have serial numbers. They were lottery tickets. So every week they announced lottery winners, and there were cash prizes for having the correct ticket. But all of them give little CP lessons, and we were given a partially complete collection of these a couple of years ago, and we've been trying to assemble the rest of them. And then one of my favorite parts of the collection is these kinds of trade advertisements that were meant to look like the product that they are selling. So here is Dr. Warner's Arlene corset from the 1890s, so shaped like a little corset, and then all the information is on the inside. We have a number of these kinds of advertisements that actually are meant to look like the item that they're selling. So please come and visit us. We too are open by appointment only Tuesdays through Fridays from 10 in the morning until 5 in the evening, although we stay open later on Wednesdays if we have readers. There's my contact information. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. We have a blog, Books, Health, and History, where you can read about our collections. We too often post about ephemeral materials from the collections. We try to post about all kinds of different materials that we have in the collections. And so we hope that we will see you, that you'll come and visit. Thanks.